a daughter of ball spawns and a devout practitioner in the arts of murder and pain. Orin has painted the streets red in her father's name for many, many years. Still to be caught, thanks to her shape-shifting abilities, she now prepares to make out of Baldur's Gate the biggest bloody offering to her father yet. And I'm ready to dive into this murder-loving woman. That sounds very weird, but anyway, let's talk about Orin. A little bit of a background is that she is hinted at, first through notes. She is first properly introduced at the end of Act 2 as one of the conspirators of the cult along with Ketheric Thorm and Enver Gortash. Through cunning and murderous devotion, she and her allies have established a solid Baalite foothold in the city of Baldur's Gate. Now empowered by a Netherstone and with the cult's plans in notion, she intends to paint the city crimson with blood and a mighty offering to Baal. Like, she just wants to do all that stuff. Before I actually really delve into Orin, I like to talk about appearances of these great people in this great game, and so Orin has a very distinct look. So first of all, Orin has pale blue-gray skin with like swirling smoke-like plumes of red weirdness across it. Her eyes are dull gray, contoured by dark eyeliner, giving her quite an intimidating look. Her straw-colored, braided hair falls to the back of her knees in a fascinating, almost reminiscent of a flail. Low-key wish you could get her hair as a tav, cause it's quite cool, but anyway. Her armor is bright, blood red, rigid, and rough like Kryten. Honestly, it kinda looks like lobster skin or dragon scales or something like that to me. And she adorns her head with an ornate silver tiara with the centerpiece shaped in the form of a person supplicant, a single crimson gem giving her appearance some color. But you know, her look might be an interesting part of her, but let's go on to her personality. Orin is cruel and sadistic, but artistic and creative in her own very twisted ways. I mean, who is surprised? She is basically Baal's little princess. Her demeanor is sort of immature and almost childish at times. Orin easily loses her composure when things don't go her way. She enacts small rebellions against the authority figures in her life and enjoys, in an arguably playful way, toying with her victims. Like I said, she just derives sadistic pleasure from taunting her victims with the gory details of her deeds as well. When she impersonates another character with her shape-shifting abilities, she will initially be quite convincingly mimicking their personality, but her true nature tends to break through the mimicry, as she is often unable to control and contain her bloodlust, resulting in her becoming more openly violent and sadistic, invoking threats and fantasies of extreme violence and grotesque brutality before shifting back into her base appearance. So all in all, she might honestly not be that good of a shapeshifter. However, it seems like she enjoys the sort of gotcha moment when she happens to reveal herself. And speaking of Orin's shapeshifting, Orin will use her shapeshifting abilities to harass the party twice. Orin can only be at one place at a time though, so if she is disguised, she stays in the visual range of a party member. I mean, she can't take the appearance of another NPC elsewhere, and thus is effectively pinned in place when she is disguised somewhere. This way, it's possible to talk to the other genuine NPCs without triggering all of Orin's many aberrations. These NPCs that I'm about to mention, with exception of the dying Stone Lord thug, can also be saved, in a sense, by not speaking to them until the party reaches Gortash at Worm's Rock. Once Gortash informs them that Orin has compromised their camp by shapeshifting into one of their companions, she will only impersonate the dying Stone Lord thug. So I suppose that's at least something. It's actually possible to identify when an NPC is Orin, as they'll be level 12 first of all, though without the large amount of hit points, of course, that would be like expected from that level. But then when examined, these NPCs can be observed to have Orin's passives, i.e. the immutable form, giving away her true or their true identity, I suppose. If attacked straight away when you know it's Orin, Orin will just transform and disappear without her usual threats, but will still taunt the party. You know, she's such a little coward, our blood-loving girlie here, isn't she? However, one thing about Orin for me is for sure her deranged devotion to Baal, which honestly hides her true desire for acceptance and belonging, as she's constantly looking for approval from her father Baal. All she wants is to be loved by her fathers. That's so weird, huh? And I mean, though uncommon, she does extend her admiration to those she respects for being brutally devoted to Baal, such as Savarok? That's not how you say his name. Saravok. And I would like to say the Dark Urge as well. However, it seems like she just hates your guts when you are the Dark Urge, as she sees you as competition. So her confidence and vicious demeanor shatters, however, when confronted with the truth of her origins. And she honestly displays true fear when forced by Baal to become his tool, instead of doing it willingly, which is also very interesting to me. But speaking of Saravok, oh my god, how can I not say his name? And speaking of Saravok though, let's talk about Orin's Baalit upbringing. And, you know, it's about to get gross, so be fair warned. Orin was raised believing she was fathered by Baal himself. Orin was in truth born to a very depraved relationship between Saravok and his daughter, Helena. She was just intended to be the perfect offering to the Dreadlord. Though Saravok routinely mistreated them, both Helena and Orin worshipped and loved him, enduring the hardships of growing up as a Baalite. Orin received the bloody teachings of Baal, becoming in time the youngest unholy assassin to follow the steps of the god of murder. Such was her gift in killing that she was to be Baal's chosen. When Orin was still a child, Saravok, knowing Helena desired to be Baal's chosen, ordered his daughter to kill Orin as an offering to Baal. Helena attacked Orin, but she was overcome by her child, who ultimately cut her down. Baal deemed the young changeling exceptional and ordered Saravok to look after her henceforth. Orin served Baal directly under the Dark Urge as their second in command. Though the two were often at odds about the correct way of offering souls to Baal, they were still working alongside each other. Orin believed that the Urge mutilated their victims without any sort of consideration, and what their father truly wanted was beauty and consideration into the kill. The Urge, on the other hand, understood that Baal only cared for the quantity of murder performed in his name. Nothing more, nothing less. So, yearning for respect and status, but dismissed and looked down on by Baal and Savarok alike, Orin brooded as she waited for an opportunity to become her father's favored. No wonder she carries so much resentment and anger in her, huh? And it just all makes sense, considering Orin's betrayal as the Dark Urge joined forces in Vergortash. Together, they formulated a plan to steal the crown of Karsus, an ancient arcane object of immense power, we all know. And then they wanted to take the Elder Brain with it in order to create a soulless army to destroy the world with, and blah blah blah, we all know this, right? And so after recruiting Ketheric Thorm, Merkel's chosen, Orin joined the three in the raid to plant the crown on the brain beneath Moonrise Towers. It was during this time that Orin saw her opportunity and struck, driving a dagger through the Urge's skull and planting an illithid tadpole in them. No! No! With her former rival left to die though, and a tadpole devouring their brain, Orin took the Urge's place as Baal's chosen, and also third member of the conspirators. Orin would prove undisciplined in her role, however, as her bloodlust could not be contained, and rapidly grew to be disliked by the other two, who saw her as little more than a necessary nuisance to their plan than someone they actually respected. And at some point between the betrayal with the Dark Urge and the events of the game, Ketheric and Orin tricked our dear Minthera into a trap where she murdered her allies and captured her. And she then also used a tadpole to convert Minthera into a true soul. But we all know that, and if you don't know that, now you know. And if you don't know even more, go to my video about Minthera. Anyway, but the funny thing about this though, right, is that if you don't pick the Dark Urge as the player character, you can actually find their corpse in Orange Chamber during Act 3, tortured to death by their sister. Very, very, very brutal. If the Dark Urge is picked as a character, they are found by Caressa Bone Daughter instead, saved from death and held captive in the Mind Flayer colony for some time so that she could do experiments on them. But then you ultimately, of course, get shipped away onto Nautiloid, and then you know what happens after that. But now, what is her involvement like in the game? We all know, but or maybe we don't know, so actually, let me just get started. Though Orin is not really present in the first act of the game, her involvement in the plot is alluded to when the Absolute attempts to take over the party's mind, and they see like a vision of her, shortly before being repelled by the mysterious artifact. The player character can also see a version of her manipulating and enthralled Minthera when first meeting the latter in the Shattered Sanctum, so that's kind of when we first meet, so to speak, Orin. In Act 2, Orin first appears alongside our dear Ketheric Thorm and Enver Gortash in the Mind Flayer colony beneath Moonrise Terrace. An argument breaks out between the three girly pops, Gortash, Ketheric, and Orin, and actually, Orin, though, kind of stops it due to her, interfering with her sword, so yeah, or her dagger, or what have you. And having successfully kidnapped older Ravenguard, she also takes the opportunity to plant a tadpole in the Duke's eyes as part of their plan to take over the city. She then joins the other Chosen and uses her Netherstone, the Lash of Baal, with them to order the Netherbrain to march the Absolute's armies on Baldur's Gate. And in Act 3 it actually gets really interesting, because after reaching Rivington, the party will encounter Orin in person for the first time. She will reveal that she's aware of their objective to gather the Netherstones and confront her and Gortash, and threatens that she will be following them, watching every step they take before disappearing once more. If engaged by the Dark Urge, she will reveal their relationship as siblings mockingly and just really taunt them. From then on, she will begin harassing the party by using her changeling abilities to shapeshift into different characters. When speaking with these seemingly innocuous characters, the conversation will slowly turn more violent until Orin just drops the disguise in the act to, guard the party into a bloody encounter with her. But we will not accept. We are not as easily fooled. A foolage, No. And then, Gortash may offer an alliance with the party you've spoken to before confronting Orin. He's just really tired of her theatrics and her general unreliability, so he will offer to join forces to subdue the Netherbrain for good and to rule the Sword Coast together with you. And he actually is a man of his word if you do so follow his wishes, which is annoying. Who wants to help him? I don't. Anyways, I definitely have done it before, not gonna lie. But anyways, Orin also makes sort of threats on her own and says that you should take down Gortash and the Steel Watch, which is quite funny. And then she, of course, kidnaps one of your companions, be it whoever really. I think I've had it be Halsin, Lacel, even Minthera, I think, actually, maybe even. And also the child, what's her name? I forget. I'm so sorry, little child. But I mean, no matter what, you really do want Orin's Netherstone and you can't really team up with her. So, in order to get Orin's Netherstone, the group will need to visit the murder tribunal in the Undercity ruins, as the Temple of Baal is open only to those who are deemed worthy by Baal or whatever. At the tribunal, the party is welcomed by no other than Sarevok, so yeah. He will reveal how the Ballists survived the events of years prior, as well as his connection to Orin as her grandfather. If confronted by the Dark Urge, though, he further elaborates on Orin's involvement in the fall of Baal's Grace. Excited at the prospects of a Baalsborn duel in the ranks of the cult, though, he will require offer passage to the Temple of Baal if the party proves to be worthy by becoming an unholy assassin, which requires impressing the tribunal with a killing prior and then the sacrifice of a celestial being. Yeah, it's all very weird and odd and all that jazz. Alternatively, the party can simply decide to fight Sarevok, a prospect he welcomes eagerly, honestly, so why not just bonk him in his big ol' head? So you can either get the Amulet of Baal by bonking him in the head, or actually, getting rid of our celestial being, the little elephant. Yeah. And then, with the amulet in hand, the party can finally confront Orin. Orin will be found at the altar of Baal, deep, deep within the temple. There she will be touring with her kidnapping victim, surrounded by annoying Baltalist cultists. When approached, Orin will threaten to kill her hostage, simply put, though she can be convinced otherwise through dialogue, which thank God, because that's do not kill my Betrayal, please. The dog urge can also persuade her to do them as a Balist tradition, to which she will absolutely eagerly agree. And then, honestly, the fight commences. She becomes, or she doesn't become, this really interesting creature that you can see on screen now. I mean, in this fight in particular, she did, as you can tell. But you know, yeah. But then the fight just goes on. I will say though that one thing you can do before the fight, and also after, I reckon, is that you can use Speak with Dead on Helena's corpse. And there you can discover that she really did betray Orin. And when you reveal this to Orin, she just completely loses focus and just doesn't believe you and is freaked out. If the party then choose dialogue options without ability checks, Orin will become enraged and call on Bal's power to transform her to the Slayer. So, you know, that's not very nice. However, when you like try to tear further and taunt her and you succeed with doing so, she will completely break down as she is just unable to cope with that truth. Bal will then speak to her through the giant skull in the back of the room, commanding her to fight and just like unnaturally twisting her body to get into the Slayer form. Regardless of the outcome of the conversation though, Orin will attack, and when it concludes, Orin is defeated and the party will be able to loot her corpse and find the nether stone that she carries. And you know, yeah, quite the sad ending. And so then that is the end of Orin as we know her, and wow, once you really get to reading and learning about her, it's clear that she's so much more than just a bloodthirsty one-dimensional villain, as you would initially think anyway. There's like a real heart in her, and I mean, she was just raised to be this murderous thing, and all she really wanted, in my eyes at least, was to be accepted. Even though she did so in gruesome and very much unspeakable ways, I still feel bad for her in a way. But hey, that was Orin. So I will say thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye bye!